everyone. I am your host, Robbie Strazynski, and thanks so much for joining us on episode number 45 of CardsChat, the friendliest poker podcast in town. I don't think I'd be exaggerating by saying that today's guest is likely the most widely appreciated person in poker. For over a decade, KevMath has been poker's oracle of information, the primary go-to individual for anything and everything going on in our industry across multiple social media platforms. A 2016 American Poker Award winner, day after day, year after year, the man lovingly referred to as KevMath continues to bring tremendous value to the poker community, for which we're all so grateful. Today, we'll get to know him a little bit better. Kevin, welcome to the CardsChat podcast.
Thank you, Robbie. I am honored to be on the, but it should be an award-winning podcast. Maybe we can get that taken care of for the next year's Global Poker Awards.
We'll work on that. We're certainly trying, but we love what we do, so that's reward enough in and of itself, right, Kev? You know all about that.
Exactly. Like you said, I am an award winner. So let's see if I can.
There you go.
I'm trying to put the. It's not working for me. I have my award right here next to me. So it's okay.
It's good.
But anyway,
good.
It is good. It's good to talk to you, Rob.
Likewise. It's been too long. I mean, obviously you're a major force on Twitter, but you know what? I want to begin with Facebook. On your Facebook page, you have a brief intro about yourself, and it says, "It's the saga of a guy who turned a love of poker into a career with its trials and tribulations." So let's start there. It's no secret that you love the game of poker. Where did that love first come from?
It's an excellent question, because I mean, it was sort of, I kind of sort of stumbled into poker. It's not I sort of started getting really into poker in the late 90s. And I don't know if many of your watchers are aware of the group rec.gambling.poker. That was sort of where I sort of first got into, posting about poker and stuff. It wasn't I didn't really have everyone else, pretty much a lot of people, they have the experience of playing home games with their family and friends, or experiences like that. I never really had that. It's just sort of I would play a lot of trivia games with a group of friends that it was a site called chatgames.com. This was mid 90s through, let's say, the early 2000s. And we would play a lot of trivia games. And then one of the games we would play was a version, was poker, but not using it was kind of using cards, but it wasn't the standard deck of 52. It's serious and things like that. So that's sort of where I really started with poker. And then I would watch on the travel, Discovery Channel, Travel Channel would have they would have the World Series of Poker. They would basically be a documentary.
Right, the old episodes, all
very old
post-produced, everything, right?
Exactly. It wasn't they had the whole cards or any of that cool stuff. It was you're watching basically it's just someone doing a documentary of the WSOP.
Right. Huh. Interesting. Okay. Did you ever sort of have a thought or an ambition to be a player, a professional player, from watching all that?
No, I don't think I was. I wouldn't say I was I was going to turn pro. It was sort of it was something it's sort of from you have various interests from time to time, and sometimes they last a few months or a few years, and then some go a little bit further, obviously poker did for me. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so it was so I was watching this stuff on TV, and there was, I said, rec.gambling.poker was it was sort of the CardsChat of its day, if you will.
Okay.
So that was the place where everyone was talking poker.
Nice.
So I started posting there, and I would read. It was you see Negreanu, Lederer, Duke, Ferguson, all the big names were sort of in that particular chat group. There was so you're finding out all the scoops back then. That's how you learn scoops.
Interesting. Okay, so you got to be in the right place at the right time. Sounds like
exactly.
Okay, very interesting.
It's fortunate enough that way, yes.
Okay. I mean, the industry as it was at that time, it was pretty darn small. You didn't have it was. I mean, it's still small today, but minuscule compared to today. Did you ever sort of have an ambition, hey, maybe I could have a career in the industry and make money doing information type stuff?
That was definitely a goal. Let's say maybe 2000. It was basically around maybe 2004, 2005. I got to the point where I sort of I sort of graduated RGP to being on 2+2.
Uh-huh.
And that's sort of like where I sort of like I sort of blossomed in a way. And that's sort of like where I started getting my poker fame, as it were. Mm-hmm. And I was basically at a point where it was around that time where I sort of like, I could probably make a career of being involved with poker in the poker media. I was not, like I said, I've always been a recreational player. I didn't have any aspirations of turning pros or like reporting about poker, just doing information about poker. That was sort of like that was the way I was going to contribute.
Interesting. And what was your first paying gig? Was that Pokerati or something?
Yes, very good. Yes, you've been researching. Yes, Pokerati. Because basically what happened with Pokerati, because Dan Mahalski, he's the founder, owner, etc. of Pokerati. So I found his blog, and then sometimes he would post stuff, and I would like respond back, correcting him on certain minor details, because that's something I sort of did back then.
Right.
And sort of appreciated that, and me doing that, obviously. And then I think it was 2008 was okay. I think it was the 2008 WSOP. That was 2008 or 2007, but it was before I got on Twitter. Okay. So it may have been 2007. So I was doing reporting in the WSOP from my luxurious home here in Syracuse, New York. So that's sort of how I started. And
so you weren't even on site?
No, I had not been. I had been to Vegas in the early 2000s with my friends in the trivia. That was like my first time. I didn't play. Didn't really play poker, but it was just like meeting friends. You have your meetups.
Sure.
So I did that. That was like the 2099, 2001, 2000. There was a couple years in that time frame, but it was like I wasn't playing poker then. I liked to gamble, so I would play blackjack or slots or whatever. So I would do that. Uh-huh. And I had and my ups and downs with that, but so I did the poker. So sorry for wandering around here, but the 2000, I think it was 2007. Huh. I did something called, I think it was something called, like there was someone doing recaps saying beyond the WSP or something like that. Okay. Sure if you went to Pokerati, you could find these, and I sort of did one. I called mine way beyond the WSP. So I would in the mornings I would do like a recap of what happened that night.
Wow.
Because there would be like Card Player. I think we're doing updates, Poker News. There's a bunch more sites that are doing updates back then. That was before things sort of got consolidated. And
right.
But I would sort of do like recaps, and like people this is at least what Dan was telling me. People were like impressed with all the stuff this information was buying. Like, who is this guy? And I mean, like I said, I had this success on 2+2, and then I sort of that was like I said, that was I was getting like $100. I was maybe like $100 every week or something like that. Nothing substantial, but it was fun to get paid.
Very interesting.
Because I was doing a lot of this stuff for free.
Right. Obviously. Right. So that's interesting. I mean, because $100 obviously doesn't pay the bills. So what were you doing as a real job while this was your obvious hobby that you were spending so much time on?
My real job, I was doing a lot of customer service and call center work. So what I was doing in the late 90s, through like 2002, I was working for a company called USA Relay. Okay. And basically, if for those unfamiliar, a relay call is basically how the deaf and hearing impaired communicate to hearing customers.
Interesting.
And vice versa. So let's say you need to reach out to you have a relative that's hearing impaired or whatever. So you would call into us, give them a number, and then we would call the hearing impaired person, and they would communicate under TTY, and then we would read back what they're typing to you. Wow. And then that would be like the conversation back and forth. So you would talk, you'd be conversing, I'd be typing it up, and then that's how the conversation would go. It was definitely something where I learned a lot of patience, because if you're calling someone who's unfamiliar with this, they sort of think you're like a telemarketer or something like that. And it got kind of stressful at times. But fortunately, I did that for 5 years, and then I was doing various other customer service types of things. So which was sort of a precursor to doing what I'm doing what I've sort of been doing on Twitter for 13 years now.
Right. I wonder if there's any like specific, I mean, like you said, it is a, very much a precursor. You're answering lots of questions for people. Are there any lessons perhaps that you learned from your time doing, it for telecommunications and that sort of stuff? Anything that you apply nowadays from back then?
I mean, I think like the biggest thing is just trying to be patient and trying to set, basically it's sort of like, you're sort of trying to get everything resolved in that one call, not have to call back, or like when I tweet, it's sort of like I'm trying to get this resolved in one answer, hopefully, and then sometimes I'll have another question and I'll answer that one. We sort of go on like that for a while. So patience and it's sort of like people, there's I've experienced it during the summer. It's sort of like people are upset about certain things, and it's sort of like you can't really respond back the same way, because that's not going to help. Because that's kind of how I got my job with WSP to start with, is because as I'm sure you're aware, Seth Polanski, who was the media person, he was the head media person for WSP. Sometimes he would get a little upset at people, and he would lash out, and it was sort of, and it wasn't really. He sort of didn't put out the fire, as it were.
Right.
So it was sort of like, it was one of those things where, that's like, well, again, this is later on, but it's like I was working for Bluff Magazine and Pocket Fives, and I was sort of like, again, that's right. My experience in customer support sort of was a big has always been a big help in my Twitter career.
Very cool. Well, of course, we love Seth, and we're all human at the end of the day, and it's
yeah, of course, yes, we are definitely human, but sometimes you gotta realize you can't be too human.
Right. Exactly. And so at what point did you sort of make the switch in? I mean, again, I imagine it wasn't when you were just making the $100, but at what point did you sort of make the switch towards, okay, I'm in poker full time now?
So it was sort of like, it got to a point where it's like 2010 now, and it was like one of those things where I was like doing other stuff, but it was like I sort of realized I had to make a decision. If I wanted to make the leap to poker media, I would have to be like not just some person behind a computer.
Right.
I would have to be actually out in the public eye. So it was like it got to that point. So it's 2010, and it was like, so it was sort of like people were like right, like there was a thread on 2+2 during the summer of 2010. I was like, who or what is the KevMath? And people, of course, had their various wacky versions of who I was, because people thought I was a bot. I didn't sleep.
Right, because no one's actually seen you.
Right, exactly. You're right.
Unbelievable.
That was a sort of thing people had not knew. It was like I provided all this stuff, but like no one had met me. So it got to the point. So it's like 2010, and so it was like I'm sure you've met Tatiana Pasovich before.
Sure.
So it was sort of like, so we struck up a friendship during the summer, and I was like, she wanted to, and she was sort of like the one that she was definitely a catalyst in getting me to like do something public. And then also Lance Bradley, who we all know from Bluff Magazine, now Pocket Fives.
Sure.
He wanted to hire me, to do some stuff for Bluff. And it was sort of like, I was still kind of wishy. I was like, I really want to do this, but I was like afraid I was gonna like be a failure. And that's sort of like that fear had been inside me for a really long time, and it's still there from time to time. But it's like, and I'll have it, probably as long as I do this or whatever I do. I'm always gonna have. I'm not 100% certain it's gonna work, even though I've been doing it for 10 years, publicly for 10 years now. So it's late. So it's basically late September, and so Tatiana asked me if I wanted to do it, do an interview over Skype.
Nice.
And I said yes, and then we did, and that was great. It's unfortunate the video is no longer there. It disappeared somewhere along the way, which I think is kind of a good thing, because it was really cringy. I was actually trying to find it last year, and it like disappeared. But there was an interview I did later that evening that was a bit better, but it was still incredibly awkward. But that is on the internet somewhere. If people want to find it, if you search hard enough, I'm sure you can find it.
Interesting.
I think so. But yeah, so then it was like Lance contacted me. That it was like during the middle of during the middle of this stuff, you know, he wanted me, you know, do you want to write the bluff? And I said, sure. You know, we worked out some stuff, and that was my first. So the November 9th in 2010, that was the first time I'd been in Vegas for poker.
Wow, there you go.
And it was like, yeah, so that was pretty cool. You know, meet all these people that I had conversed with online, like Dan, you know, all the people in poker media, like Holly, Jeff Trey, you know, a lot of people I'm missing that I shouldn't forget it. But
wow.
Yeah. But yeah, so I did that. That was, you know, I was doing I was live tweeting the final table for Bluff. And so I was in the skybox in Penn Terra Theater, you know, in that way up top. I was way above everything. And that was just like, it was just an incredible experience. And, you know, getting to do that and getting paid for it was even better.
Very cool. So you mentioned Bluff, you mentioned Pocket Fives, and I know of at least two other gigs you've done, you know, Poker Atlas and the WSOP social media coordinator. Did I miss any other big ones along the way, or those are the biggies?
Well, I did. Well, GG, I was doing stuff at GG Poker last year. We'll see. That was during their basement series. There's kind of some minor stuff, but yeah, Poker Atlas is my main gig right now. You know, not full time because obviously we know. But I'm hoping that will ramp up to being full time. And there's various people that are talking to me about doing something for them in the near future. So we'll see if that actually happens or not. We may know this answer when this actually goes live.
Oh, okay. Good luck, as they say.
Exactly. I mean, but it's like I haven't really had the conversation yet at the time of recording.
Okay.
But when this actually happens, maybe it'll be something. So.
All right. But good luck.
Thank you. I can use all the luck. I need all the luck.
We'll use our collective one time.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it'll be like 75% my time, 25% your time. So you have your own.
Very good. Wait, so let's go one at a time then. Obviously, those are four, you know, some major gigs there. We'll start with Bluff, you know, and we're going to ask the same question. What did you enjoy most about each of these jobs that you held? So we'll start with Bluff. We can go on, you know, Pocket Fives, etc.
Okay, so Bluff, there was actually two different stints. So as we are aware, the first day I started in October of 2010, and I made it through the summer of 2011, and we all know what happened in the middle.
Yes.
It was that infamous day in April, and it was sort of like one of those things where like one of the things about work, you know, I was going to be doing like WSP stuff. So, I mean, that did happen, fortunately, but it was not the best experience because it was sort of like, it was my first time doing like something, you know, doing at Bluff, you know, sort of doing reporting. And I sort of thought I was like good. And then I learned some hard lessons during the summer. It was pretty harsh, but it was more like, I mean, it didn't help that it was, you know, a lot of the funding kind of disappeared after that particular day. And
sure.
I was fortunate enough to actually get paid relatively close to after things ended. Other people weren't as fortunate. It took a little bit of time because the website, the poker site that was the sponsor, sort of decided not to pay.
Yikes. Okay.
So it was basically, like I said, I was sort of happy to be there because and so I got let go at the end of just after the series ended in July 2011. And so I did a couple, you know, fortunately I got paid, so I was able to do a couple of things in the meantime. So I went to Philadelphia. They had you know, the Deep Stack Poker Tour there, and I went to LA for Legends of Poker. So it's more like a kind of a vacation. And those were much better experiences. And then and then also another thing happened in the meantime is I went to Aussie Millions for the first time in January 2012, and I made a final table. My first ever handed my result is a final table in Australia. Just like you expect.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was like, I was doing that more for the experience than the pay. I mean, you know, the result I had there wasn't very good, but and then sort of in the meantime, it was like Bluff was being purchased by Churchill Downs.
Yep.
Calling the Kentucky Derby, and then I got rehired later in 2012. So that was like, you know, a bad word for the magazine, and then it was after, you know, later that year I moved down to Atlanta. So that was like my first, I guess, being on my own was the experience in Atlanta. So that was pretty fun, you know, having my own place and not having to worry other things.
Sure.
So I did work for Bluff. That was pretty good years. I worked with Lance, Tim Fioravanti, Paul Orstein, and the rest of the team down there. That was definitely a much better. It was more like I was doing more stuff that was more in my lane, so to speak.
Nice.
I wasn't doing a lot of reporting. I was doing more of the back end stuff, sort of like getting results out, because we have a relatively we have the Bluff Player of the Year race and
sure,
updating people about results.
And the Power 20, right? That was the thing.
Power 20 is more like a magazine thing.
Okay.
I was more doing the tournaments themselves. Power 20 was Bluff's. It was basically the 20 most powerful people in the poker industry, and I managed to bubble that 1 year somehow. I didn't get the home field advantage. I finished 21st in the voting. That was the only time I bubbled, but that's the partial bubble I have.
There you go.
And whatever year, I don't remember what year it was. But yeah, it was a good time, and then I was doing that until 2015. That was July of 2015. So it was sort of like, it's we all find out the bad news the day after the final table was established. This is still a November 9 era,
right?
Where you don't go back till November, and then we find out the day after that we're done, because like the magazine had sort of disappeared late 2014. We're digital only,
right?
So and now we find out, and it's sort of like we were limping along, and then 2015, and we're done.
Yeah,
and that was kind of a harsh pull to get in Vegas, because we went to that summer. It wasn't exactly like it wasn't sunshine and rainbows for us, but we went through it, and then to find out the news was that kind of sucked. So that plane ride home was not the most fun, but
I can imagine.
But fortunately, Am Small Pocket Fives, he realized I was available, so we did something. So he hired me in September 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm doing I'm doing Twitter, I'm doing some social media stuff, I'm doing some support stuff.
Sure.
Starting promotions and things like that, and that went pretty well. And then so we can sort of I guess we can sort of transition now to the WSOP stuff.
Yeah, sure.
So
the question is more like, what did you enjoy most about each of these positions? So I got plenty of WSOP questions for you.
Okay, so I mean, like I said, it was I had fun. I had a good time with Pocket Fives. Like I said, I didn't, doing the stuff in the back end was always that was the most fun I had doing working at Pocket Five, just doing that sort of stuff. Nice. Basically helping the website progress over the years. Cool. And so then there was they merged with a couple of companies, and then unfortunately I got made redundant in September 2018.
Got it.
That's sort of like
and that's when the Poker Atlas stuff began, sort of.
Well, Poker Atlas was kind of in the mix for a little bit of that. I was doing a lot of part-time with Poker Atlas, and it's just like I said, it's more back-end stuff. I'm playing in tournament stuff. I'm cleaning up spam and doing some moderation in the various the forums that are on Poker Atlas, and it's basically just putting the stuff. My title was information coordinator, so I put the information in so you can see on Poker Atlas. So I do, I'm basically handling tournaments and card rooms, mainly in the Southeast, Midwest, Southeast of the U.S., and then I'm doing a little bit of international stuff as well.
Right.
And like I said, I kind of like being behind the scenes.
Well, it's for that reason a great privilege to have you on our show. So that's for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like I like being behind this computer to talk to you. And I have to say, so what if Phil Hellmuth didn't invent hashtag positivity should belong to you.
That's very sweet. Thank you.
You are by far the most positive person in poker.
I appreciate that.
We definitely need that these days.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and I'll try to live up to that. Thank you, Kevin. I will go back to that Facebook description then. It's like you may have touched on it already, but you talked about and the trials and tribulations along the way. What sort of trials and tribulations have you experienced over your career in the industry?
Well, I mean, I'm more thinking of it's sort of like things haven't exactly been smooth. I mean, like I said, it took me a while to actually even get a job. It was, like I said, it was sort of like I've had this fear of failure. I mean, you could call it whatever you want. I've had a lot. It's basically like I was like, do I want to do this? Yes, I want to do this, but how do I do it? And it's like I kind of like, it's sort of like if it fails, like what am I going to do now? It's like
right.
It was basically just my one shot. It was like back in 2010. Just like I'm going to do this, and if it fails, then I'm done. I'm done with poker.
Wow. Well, thankfully for all of us, you managed to hit that 1 outer. It worked out pretty well for you.
Yeah, maybe a little more than one. Maybe like a 2 outer.
Okay, that's fair.
It was definitely not a coin flip. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
It was like it was more on me. It was myself that was sort of holding things back. So that's
right.
And I've had my ups. I've been had my ups and downs. I was hoping, like when I was hired the second time, I sort of thought that was like my forever job. I was doing that, and then because it was like we were owned by a pretty important company. They were Church of Downs was hoping to get into online poker.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that the client that we had that was being tested was I don't know if I should probably hold my thoughts on it, but
it's okay.
It wasn't exactly the best. It was not the best offer out.
I understand. I hear you.
It needed a lot of help.
Okay, I hear you. Is it, by the way, just as an aside, is there some sort of a background noise? It sounds like something's going on the computer, like a washing machine or something like that.
No, I have. No, the only thing is, I'm upstairs. I mean, it could be the phone, but I have no.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, no worries.
I don't have a fan. I don't have the air conditioner.
Okay, so it's all good then. Okay, cool. Okay, so we talk about
trials. It's stuff outside.
Okay, got it. Okay. Well, yeah, out in Vegas over there, right?
On the street.
We talk about trials, tribulations. I know one challenge that all of us in poker and obviously the world at large has been this pandemic. I know you mostly stayed home in Syracuse. I'm kind of wondering, what has day-to-day life been like for you during this whole stretch? No travel, nothing like that.
I mean, it sucked because I was like doing some stuff. I was doing a little bit of stuff for poker that was, but it was just basically like a lot of staring at my screen, looking at Twitter and reading a bunch of stuff and just like, reading about all the stuff, just a bunch of stuff that you sort of like would like to see people.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was like my Twitter, for better or worse, is the main part of my social life.
Right.
It's because Twitter. If it wasn't really for Twitter, I'm probably not here, not talking to you or anyone for that matter. I'm just like,
wow.
I've never, like I said, because of my stuff before. It's like I was never I've never been the most outgoing person.
Right.
So
I would almost think then, in a sense, that you may have it somewhat easier than some people because you're so used to interacting in that way, behind the scenes online.
And that's a bit, but maybe I sort of thought. Thought, with the pandemic, that we sort of would have gotten back to something like normal.
Yeah.
No WSP, no live WSP in 2020. So it's sort of like all those people that you only see during the summer. You're not going to see them now for 2 years.
Yeah.
Definitely people. There's a lot of people I miss. I did make right before the pandemic. I was gone to Atlantic State a couple of times in early 2020. That was like the only interaction I had with poker-wise with people.
Right.
Was those 2 times I went down when I went there. But then after that, it's been. No, I'm just basically in the house.
I kind of know that feeling out here, in Israel on my hilltop. So it's important to be out there and fly.
Other things have been happening there.
Yeah.
Look, you're living in a little more troubling times than I am. Compared to what you've been doing, what's been happening in Israel, it's a walk in the park.
Maybe that stuff's for a different podcast, but
yes, I agree.
We'll focus on the traveling, obviously, onto more happier thoughts. The poker industry it is special. The fact is it affords people like you, like me, folks in the media and obviously players, the ability to visit lots of places around the world. So I'm curious, you did mention Australia. What are some of the more exotic places you've been to, and do you have a favorite among them?
Well, I mean, outside the U.S. It has been. I mean, I did Australia twice. I did Dublin once, and then I've done Rostov for WSOP Europe. I did that for 2 years. Rostov is quite.
Las Vegas.
Yes, Las Vegas. It's definitely a part. I didn't mind Rostov that much, to be honest. Okay. But it's not. I mean, it's definitely not for everyone because it's not. There's not much. It's the town itself is there's not that much. It's sort of you're in the casino, and then it was basically I was go to the casino, then go back to my hotel. That was doing that for for a month, and it was that. I mean, I guess I was used to it because I did the Rio for I've done the Rio for 4 weeks, and I was basically just walking down from the Rio, go to the poker area to the hotel and back, and I was doing that a lot. I mean, sometimes I got outside the Rio, but it wasn't. But again, it was like I was more dedicated to the poker than other people. Other people. I mean, I had my share of good times, but it wasn't like I was doing it every night. I was a slave to the grind, as it were.
Got it.
But I mean, like Dublin. Oh, I mean, I've done. I forgot it. I was at the Bahamas twice, including the PSPC.
Nice.
Yeah. That was the PSPC in 2019. That was pretty fun. It's fun to play a $25,000 tournament for zero. So right. I was one of those fortunate people to get a platinum pass. That was
how long did you last in that tournament?
I made it to day 2.
Okay.
I mean, I busted like it was about a level in the day 2. But,
okay.
Yeah, but I mean,
you had that dream. You got a bag. You had that dream for a whole extra day. It's good stuff.
I bagged. I bagged. That was fun. I played. I played like a really. I'm sure you remember. I can't remember his name now. It wasn't Randy. But I know his last name. It's Wilson Cop. The one who on Christmas Day. Remember 2018 Christmas Day, his wife got him.
Yes, Hilzer Cop, something like that.
Yeah, I'm forgetting his first name. I remember. His wife was Randy.
Randy, right. Okay.
Jeremy Hilzer.
Jeremy Hilzer Cop, sure.
Yeah, so I was actually we were at the same table at the start.
Oh, okay. Well, that was a great story. I remember that.
Yeah, it was like because it was sort of weird because like I got my platinum pass that same day.
That's so cool.
It was sort of like I guess
a very Merry Christmas indeed.
Oh yeah, that was definitely the best Christmas present I ever got. It was like I was like, and I didn't really expect it, which was even better. So it was like, wow, I'm playing in the Bahamas. January. Cool. Yes, that was very cool. That experience was really, really fun.
Very cool. Well, you managed also, I see on your Hendon Mob, you managed to collect 4 flags. You managed to bank about $32,000 in career winnings. Have you ever used any of that poker money to splurge a bit?
I've probably done some. I wouldn't say I've done anything really splurging. I wouldn't think. I'm trying to think. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy to have 4 flags. To be honest, it's
okay.
So I mean, it's like most American players do not have 1 or 2 at most.
Yeah, I don't have any. So you're 4 ahead of me. That's for sure.
Well, you'll get there.
I don't play tournaments. That's the problem.
Well, you play. It's the long run, Eventually,
I'm destroying the cash games first to build up a bankroll, and then we'll play some tournaments and spew it all and donate it all back.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, maybe to do some trips elsewhere, but I don't think I've ever done. It's not like I bought anything super expensive.
Okay.
I haven't. The winnings I've had at times haven't exactly given me the incentive to splurge on something else.
Got it. Okay, that's fair.
Maybe one day, if I can like make that something like really big. Like a big buying event, that would definitely
okay.
That would do it.
Fun to dream.
That's definitely my dream. I mean, mostly it's usually spent on the slot machines.
Sure. Okay. Well, one of the questions we love asking all of our guests here on the Cards Chat podcast is, who is the friendliest player you've ever had the pleasure of competing against at the felt?
Friendliest player. You know what I'm gonna say? I'm gonna say it's Jamie Kirsten.
Oh, very
We
nice.
played the first game that I played. She was at my table, and she was this lovely. This was, I think it was 2012. 2012.
Yep.
2012, 2013. The first year I played the main event. Fortunate, many people buy actions, so I was fortunate to play.
Right.
And so she was at my table the entire time,
Uh-huh.
and she was friendly as can be. And she happened to bust me in the last half hour on day one. I was pretty hard. I opened with queens. I got around. I basically shoved with queens because I was really short stacked.
Right.
And she basically said, "I'm sorry," and called. And she had the aces.
Oh no.
So yeah, I was open ended on the turn. Didn't get there, but it was definitely. It was a fun experience playing with her and the other people at the table.
Okay.
But I would say Jamie Kirsten would be number one. I haven't had a bad experience playing with notable players.
Very
Fortunately,
nice.
people certainly appreciate what I've done.
Nice.
So,
that's for sure. Well,
yeah.
Big shout out to Jamie. Of course, she was episode number 3 here on the Cards Chat podcast, and always a good occasion to remind all of you guys, this is number 45. We've got dozens of episodes for you to listen to right after you finish listening to this one here with Mr. Kevin Mathers. All right, we're going to switch gears. That's something you got to do in poker. You got to switch gears once in a while. I believe you've done social media duty for the World Series of Poker 4 times, and your 5th one's coming up. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct. Yes.
Okay.
It's one for the thumb, as it were.
Right. Okay. So it's like the buy 4, get 1 free. There you go. So
Exactly. Yeah.
okay.
Exactly.
So for those who don't know, I want to know, what is it that you do officially? I mean, I've seen you, I know, but okay. What exactly does Kevin Mathers do in the WSOP social media coordinator role?
So what I do during the summer and this fall, fingers crossed, everything works out. So basically it's people, I provide information every day, basically what tournaments are going on. I tell you, this is when the tournament starts, this is how many chips you get, this is late registration.
Uh-huh.
And then people ask me questions about those tournaments or tournaments in the future. So it's like I'm pumping out information on a daily basis during the WSOP. And I'm also directing people where they can find updates, where they can find the live stream, whether the monster stack is re-entry or not.
Uh-huh.
All the questions people ask, I'm there. I'm the answer guy.
Wait, there's a live stream?
Yeah, apparently, a couple times there was a live stream during the summer.
Had to ask.
Look, I mean, it's been a bet for such a long time. I mean, I'm used to it, and it's like you kind of I can't be serious business on that particular question or people just keep asking it, and I'm just gonna
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
But it's something like I said, it's like the one thing. This is like one thing I'm really, really good at.
Okay.
And also take it. I mean, it's sort of like so after I was like, by pocket fives, it was sort of like, well, then how am I gonna get to Vegas in 2016?
So
it was January 2016. I decided just to email Jack out because it was sort of like, look, I mean, people have been critical of the social media for the WSOP because, well, we've discussed that before. So I figured, you know what? During 2015, I was answering a lot. Like people would ask WSOP stuff, and then I would answer on my account.
Right.
And I was like, this for zero. So I think this is like it's kind of 2 birds with one stone. I'm getting paid for it, and I'm gonna be in Vegas.
Right.
Because I wanted because it's summer. It's summer in Vegas, even though it's hotter than
Yeah.
I'll be enjoying the very cool environment that's at the Rio. So
yes.
I emailed Jack, and he was all for it. He put me in contact with Seth, and we worked out the details, and
amazing.
The rest is history. Yeah,
that's very cool that's how it started, and obviously they've got the right person for that job. It's impossible shoes to fill, after 120 years, when the next one comes along. Man, you just do such a great job and provide such an amazing service. Is there such a thing as a typical day on that job?
Not, I mean,
or like a routine, maybe.
I mean, the routine is always the same. It's sort of like how I plan to do is like in the morning, I'll tweet out the table draws, and then chip counts, table draws, and then sort of get that stuff going. Maybe answer some questions, and then as we get closer to the start time, 10 or 11 a.m., I tweet out the images for the structure sheets. Then when the tournament start, I provide people links for where they can find the updates on corporate news and/or WSOP.com. And then it's sort of like answering questions. That's pretty much how
you also wander out in the fields. You're not just in the media room either.
Yes, that is another thing I sort of realized I couldn't really stay behind the desk, because there's definitely stuff that's going on out there that I can at least attempt to resolve. We're like, hey, there's a really long line over here. If you go over here to the Daily Deep Stacks desk where they're taking registrations, there's no line. So you're sort of trying to get as many people into the tournament as you can.
Right.
Because more revenue is better.
Sure.
For WSOP. So it's like I definitely do get I get my steps in, as it were.
Okay.
I definitely. That's like the 8 weeks out of the year. I rack up the mile. I usually I know there's some days where I've racked up 10 miles.
Oh wow, you actually track it. That's a lot. Wow.
Yeah. For on the phone, the phone's got the little the iPhone's got the apps.
My goodness.
Yeah, I look at it, I'll be like, wow, that I did that much, and it didn't seem like that.
Right.
And it's not like I'm doing it the entire. I mean, it's sort of like my day is sort of like maybe like 10 to like 8. 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. I mean, I'm not gonna I can't do 60 days, 20 hours a day. That's I gotta have some. I gotta get some sleep. I gotta have some.
Well, you predicted my next question, actually. I'll read it to you. It says the WSOP is 24/7 for 7 straight weeks. Contrary to popular belief, you do actually sleep. But beyond that, I also imagine beyond the sleep, you also take some time off once in a while. So I'm wondering how you spend your downtime, the little downtime you have during the WSOP.
Well, it's some years it's sort of like if I had the day off, I'm playing like the 250 deep stack.
Sure.
And that's sort of like my fun activity. And sometimes I enjoy 2 beverages.
Yeah.
So it was like my second year doing it. I don't know if I did when I was working for WSP, but I was selling action. I saw action, no markup, obviously, because selling markup is a little bit, even though it's basically $25, 10%. But it's sort of like, charging any markup is a bit ridiculous. But so someone suggested they were going to buy my action, but I had to drink a beer every level.
Okay.
Levels in the 1 p.m. in the deep stacks are 30 minutes.
Right.
So, so I got into I had my share of good times enjoying beer. And then I would also include my style of updating, which is
right.
So it's sort of like the tubing, like I'm doing updates, and again, I'm not trying to do serious business, but I sort of remark on what's happening at the table or what hands I've been winning with, or all while having getting that beer in every 30 minutes. And so June it was 2 years ago. I got to 14 beers.
Wow.
And cashed.
Wow.
That was more impressive feat. It's like if you had that many and didn't cash.
Right.
I mean, it's not like I'm not. You tip your dealer, and I tend to tip generously.
That's good. There's a good nugget for everyone. Tip generously.
Yes, even though these drinks are free, I should tip $1 or $2.
Absolutely.
Or $3, depending on the beverage, of course. Waters are.
Well, all that sounds like a good way to use your downtime. Definitely sounds like you have a lot of fun. I've got one more question for you before we move into the community questions. Finally, you posted a picture of the different titles, the name tags that you've been given in that wonderful role, and they were social media czar, WSOP Twitter czar, social media stalwart, and Twitter vice KevMath. Do you have a favorite among them, or perhaps do you covet a specific title for your upcoming fall duties?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I have never come out with a title myself.
Okay.
The first three editions were Seth. Seth came out with those. And sort of like that was the Czar powers. Like people just were calling me the Czar.
Yeah, sure.
I am the quote the Czar of Twitter, I guess. But yeah, Vice President Jack Ethel, the head of the bigwig,
Yep.
he would always call me Vice President. So he decided in 2019 he was going to make that my title.
There you go.
I mean, I don't mind. You know, they're all. I mean, I won't bring all four out. That's why I keep them, and I'll probably rotate in with whatever my new title is for 2021, and I'll happily wear them. I'll wear them with pride. Whatever title.
Sounds good, and I'm looking forward to seeing that in person.
I kind of don't want to know until I get there. I know a couple of times they've actually tweeted the picture. I just want to have the name badge. That's all.
Okay, that's what it's all about. Like those Hendon Mob flags, you got to collect them all. Right.
Exactly. That's the goal.
Cool. All right. In this segment of the show, we turn to you guys, our Cards Chat community, who are tuning in and listening to see what questions you wanted to ask our guests. We have a dedicated thread on the Cards Chat forums for this. So as we announce who our future guests will be, please be sure to send in your questions. The first set of questions here comes from Crystals. Thank you very much, Crystals. That's a good one. Yeah, you like that. Your best recorded finish and highest payout playing poker was in 2018 at the Hard Rock in Hollywood, Florida. What do you remember about that run?
I remember a lot of things about that run because I started at final table. I had 4 big blinds at a 10-handed final table, so it was. I was just happy to be there.
Okay.
I was happy to get the cash, happy to get to the final table. And then it was just like I could not lose.
Wow.
Basically I had shove or fold. And I did a lot of shoving and basically kept winning. I think when we got to 7-handed, there was talk of a deal, and I was still like really short. So I was like, "You guys want to make a deal? I'm in. I'm not trying to get anything extra. Just make the deal. I'll take whatever it is."
Okay.
And I think then, but it got to 7-handed, no deal. We had one. It was like a really big Chip Weird didn't want to make a deal. So it was basically like hanging around. And then we got to 3-handed. We basically, and again, Chip Weird still had like old chips. So basically we made a deal. He gets first place. We split second, me and third place. The other part, we split second and third. So,
nice. Okay.
Yeah, I was happy with that. I was like, I mean, maybe it was like, didn't really have bargaining chips, as it were.
Right.
I had some chips, but I wasn't gonna I'm gonna negotiate a better deal.
Right.
I'm not the best at making deals.
Okay.
As it is. But I was just like, look, I was happy. I was happy to be there.
Awesome.
So that's what I was just, I got my picture, got framed.
Nice.
When I had like no chips.
Okay. Good memory.
That was definitely just a cool final table to be at.
Excellent. Next question from Crystals. Being from Syracuse, big Orange fan, by the way, what is the poker scene like locally?
That's unfortunate, Crystals. I don't really. I mean, we have Turning Stone down the road. It's like about 40-minute drive from Syracuse. That's the poker room where I sort of got started.
Uh-huh.
Back in the early 2000s. I remember the days when we played the big game was 1-5 stud.
That was the big game. Oh goodness.
Well, I guess that was like the most tables was 1-5. I mean, that was so. But it wasn't like no one was like the big game. Uh-huh. But they had turn. They had limit hold'em turns. They had stud 8 or better turns.
Wow.
It was and. It was definitely, I guess that was a good place for me to get started. I was like, I'm playing 1-5 stud. I'm not rolling up to play 5-10 the limit.
Right.
I just have a few dollars. I'm not gonna hang with the big boys.
You ever get out there anymore?
I haven't been there since the pandemic.
Sure.
But it's been, it's been a couple of years.
Okay.
I have my share of good times there, and can't complain. But I mean, it's not like I said. I discussed this too much, but not exactly. Don't go out and about for the home game. The home game scene, I don't know.
Right. Okay.
I'll have to find someone else that lives in Syracuse that can answer that question.
That's fair. Final question from Crystals. Here's a kind of a deep one. What is one thing you would want to see change in the poker world in the next 2 to 3 years?
Wow. Now, that's a very deep question. There's two things that I think about. I think like the big one would try to get more women involved in poker. Not to be fair, I mean, I'm not. It's sort of been discussed since before 30. It's 20, 30 years. That's the biggest issue, I guess we could say, in poker overall, is like the lack of women in the game. It's more people in the game is better for everyone.
Yeah.
And sort of ties into the other thing, just people to be nicer to each other. It's we see it on poker Twitter. We see our share of negativity.
Yeah. And
I can certainly be snarky at times, but it's something. Something I've learned along the way is sort of like, being a certain, it's better to be nice. And I try to be nice as much as I can. I sometimes lose that patience, but I just try to be on the straight and narrow.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying. I'm not trying to do this stuff. I'm just flat line.
Yeah.
It's like how you you have your moments, but you're very, very straight. I've got a little bit of rippling, but you're like straight.
we try.
I know. Sometimes things don't go the way you want, but
yeah. Okay, that's fair.
That's for another podcast.
Yeah. Next question comes from Frazzle1991. Thank you very much, Frazzle, for submitting this question. What would be your personal best advice to give someone new to poker who wants to get better?
I would say something that I don't do myself. But everyone else because like I said, I'm more of a behind the scenes than an actual player. But I would say study books, training sites. There's all sorts of resources out there, free and paid, that anyone can find online. We have you got your Reddit lenses, your upswings, Tournament Poker Edge, all the live Jonathan Rose coaching courses.
Pokercoaching.com, right? Sure.
Pokercoaching.com, thank you.
Yep.
I'm sure they're a proud sponsor of I think I've seen the ads on the website. I know you've and there's plenty. Just study. That's you don't have to dig in. You don't have to. And when you're starting out, you're not going to be how you should be getting into pile solver and all that stuff.
Sure.
No, just get into some. There's plenty of free. Like I said, something I've learned from non-poker related jobs. Something that everyone should do. Use your resources.
Yeah.
That's something I was taught in one of my jobs. Use your resources. It's not like I have everything at the tip of my fingers, but I know where I can find it and provide it.
Right. That's important.
It is very important. And it's sort of like, I wish more people sort of did that instead of asking me. Because like all this, there's a lot, poker players sometimes are not the most resourceful on certain things. They're great players. They know all the ins and outs of actual playing of poker. Information, not as much. Sometimes that can be a detriment. It's like, wow, I didn't know this tournament was happening. I didn't know this role, but it's like the information is out there. You don't hear from me. It's out there.
But that's what we have you for, Kevin. That's the story.
And I appreciate it because it's definitely helped me.
Yes.
If everyone knew where to find stuff,
right.
No one knows who I am.
Exactly.
I'm just some schlub in the computer. Just type into.
I'll also give one more shout out to Ryan LaPlante. He's also a CardsChat ambassador. He's got Learn Pro Poker, also another great resource there. Okay, our final question submitter would be Shells. Thank you very much, Shells. Regular sends in some great questions here. We got 4 of them, I think, here. What would you consider, Kevin, to be your proudest poker moment?
Proudest poker moment. It's definitely, I wouldn't say my proudest moment, I think, it's not something where I was playing, but it was is when I did the shuffle up and deal.
I knew you would say that. I knew you would say that. Yes, I knew.
That was definitely, I think, because I've done it like, I think the product, because I've done it a few times. I did once on a Poker Go stream for May event. But
I didn't know that. Okay, I didn't know you only, I thought you only did it once.
When I was looking at, I made day 2. So the only time I made day 2 at the May event, it was day 2. It was day 2C, and I made day 2, and I was like, I'm in the Brazilian room because that's where the stage is. So I'm doing my spiel and doing the shuffle up and deal, and so like I do that, and then I'm running out because my table's in the pavilion.
Oh,
so I kind of like relish the moment, I would say. But that I would say those were my proudest moments were because I'm in front of thousands of people, and it's like this big. I would say that was like that's my proudest moment. Just doing that act in front of people.
Awesome, very cool.
It may not be the best speech, but I did shuffle up the deal, get the applause, and let's go.
There you go. Fire everyone up. All right, and here's one. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Another one from Shells. If you could choose to live anywhere in the world, where would it be? And here's where I also add in a little bit. Why not Vegas? Why don't you live in Vegas?
That's a really good question because a lot of people think I am in Vegas. It's right. One of the things, like the dream, as it were, 11 years ago, was I was going to get a job in poker and I was going to live in Las Vegas.
There you go.
Unfortunately, financial circumstances sort of prevented me from doing that. So,
okay.
I would love to do it. I would love to work for the WSOP on a full-time basis, and live in Vegas and experience the nightlife. But then I had to worry, again, my fear thing is like, I'm in Vegas and then I sort of like gamble my money away. But I would love to do the Vegas, at least hopefully like live a year in Las Vegas.
Nice.
Just to experience it, and see, just see what it's like for a year. And if it sucks, then
very nice. Well, that sounds very cool. I like that.
I don't know anywhere. I wish I had like another place, but like Vegas is that's really the key location.
Nice. Well, you get to experience it in the fall this time, so that'll be a nice new experience.
And it'll be hot. We can't complain about the heat.
Right. Exactly. I'm sure they'll find something else to complain about.
Oh yeah, they will.
Here's a little bit of a interesting question here, unique question from Shells. If you were to sing karaoke, which song would you sing?
Wow, that's a really good question. I've got like several songs in my head that I'm thinking about.
Okay.
Okay, okay. So the song I'm thinking about, have you ever heard of the group The Smithereens?
Of the what, sorry?
The Smithereens.
I have
They're
not
like Blown to Smithereens.
No. Okay. Blown to Smithereens, sure. Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah. Okay, they were a band, they're still around, but they were big in they're like a power pop band. They're from New Jersey. They kind of have like a Beatles-esque sort of vibe to them. But maybe I shouldn't use that. I'm gonna do it different. We can edit this out later.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm gonna use I'm gonna make an unusual choice here.
Okay.
It's a group called Push for Do. They're a punk band from Minneapolis in the 80s.
Okay.
Yeah. They have a song called "Makes No Sense at All." It's a very short song, but it's sort of if you read the lyrics, you'll sort of understand why I would choose. It's sort of like it's not the hashtag positivity.
Got it. Okay.
Again, look, if I could predict, I'm not as good at predicting as you are. So I couldn't, like, if I asked you the same question, I'm not sure I could guess the song that you would choose if you're singing.
I'm very musical. I like singing all sorts of songs.
How about like a Tony Bennett?
Well, of that vein, I would sing Frank Sinatra's "My Way." That's a good one. Yeah. Nice. You're in the right ballpark there. That's for sure.
Yes, I was figuring along Yeah, you're kind of a classical type of, you're like a standards kind of guy.
I guess you could say that. We got one final question for you, Kevin, from Shells. If anyone follows your Twitter feed, and this is the reason why we asked it last, if anyone follows your Twitter feed, at KevMath, by the way, they would have to notice that you're definitely one who has the finger on the pulse of anything and everything poker. The question, how do you do it?
How do I do it? Volume. That's how I do it. I think it's just, I sort of realized, like, I follow like about 2,500 people on Twitter. Now, of course, a lot of those people, there's a lot of inactives or don't post a lot, but it's sort of like, I guess if I could give advice, is if you follow certain people and then sort of branch out from there, that's a good way to, if you cover like your card players, your Pocket Five, your poker newses, and then you follow certain pros, and you sort of like branch out from there. I think that would be a good way to, because I one thing I try to do is try to follow accounts that are outside the US, because there's a lot of happenings outside the US that most people don't even think about.
Yeah.
We're all centered on the US, maybe England, but I try to follow stuff that's going on in Australia and Europe, South America. That's because you try to be like a well-rounded individual.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way. If you're on Twitter, you try to find a bunch of people in your interest and then go with that. And I don't try to, on my Twitter feed, I'm not trying to go off topic. Right. People know me from poker. They don't care about my politics. I don't give my politics.
Right.
Because I think there's definitely things I could say that people on the other side wouldn't like. And I'm not looking to create drama.
Okay.
I save the drama for other people. I like to internalize a lot of things, and sometimes I maybe that's not the best thing. Maybe it's better to speak out about certain things that are happening, but I try to save the drama for someone else. Okay. There's plenty of people out there that handle that and you can follow.
Okay.
So I'm it's like that. It's like this. Me and you, Robbie, we're on that same wavelength.
We're trying
not get involved with the drama.
We're trying. Well, like we said, it's not what you do outside of all of the positions that you have held and do hold. It's not a job per se, but obviously you are the go-to guy on Twitter and in poker when it comes to information. You answer dozens of questions every single day for years. And like you said at the beginning, and it holds true till today, it's out of the goodness of your heart. It's in something in you. You just enjoy being able to provide that information to people. And often all you get for it is just sort of a simple thank you. But I know I speak on behalf of the entire community when I say how grateful we all are to you, Kevin, for everything that you do. I want to thank everyone who sent in questions for Kevin Mathers, and just a friendly reminder to everyone in our CardsChat community, we'd love to see you submit your questions for our future podcast guests in the dedicated thread on the forums. Please be sure to give us a good review on iTunes and spread the word via your social media channels if you'd like the show. Before we go, Kevin, anything else you'd like to tell people watching or listening to the show?
Well, I would like to say thank you. But if it's not for the people that ask me questions, no matter how dumb, or maybe some that they should know already, I'm grateful for anyone that's ever asked me a question live, online. It's because of all of you that I'm where I am in the poker community. And thank you to the people, Shells and Crystals and person that anyone submit a question on CardsChat, and please submit more questions. Robbie's getting the big guest here. And, it's your chance, CardsChat community, to ask the questions that you want to answer. So I would suggest. So ask Robbie. Help Robbie do his job. Robbie does a great job. He's on 45 of these. You gotta be doing something right if you've done something 45 times.
I love it.
Let's do that. Do that, CardsChat community.
I love
Represent.
it. Thank you so much. That's very sweet. Thank you very much to Mr. at KevMath. Again, follow him there. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the Cards Chat podcast. I'm Robbie Strazynski. You can follow me on Twitter at CardPlayerLife. I wish you all a wonderful day.